The laughter echoed across the massive aircraft hangar, bouncing off polished jets and cold steel walls like a cruel storm that refused to end. Every mechanic stopped working. Every apprentice looked away. Standing alone in stained overalls with a worn broom in one hand and a stack of old engineering sketches tucked beneath his arm, Rowan Mercer lowered his eyes as the CEO's mocking words cut deeper than any blade. "You're just a hangar sweeper." Those words followed him long after the laughter faded, but no one knew that the quiet janitor carried a dream larger than the airplanes surrounding him. And no one could have imagined that one small promise to his little daughter would change everything forever. Before we continue this unforgettable journey, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes in kindness and second chances, and subscribe to Beyond Single Dad. Your support helps bring more inspiring stories like this to life. Every morning before sunrise, Rowan arrived at the private aviation company carrying the same broom, the same lunchbox, and the same tired smile. Most employees barely noticed him except when they needed a spill cleaned or trash removed. To them he was invisible. Years earlier Rowan had studied aeronautical engineering with dreams of designing aircraft that could make flying safer and more affordable. Life, however, had rewritten every plan. His wife had passed away after a sudden illness, leaving him alone to raise 6-year-old Nora. Medical bills swallowed every dollar they had. His unfinished degree became another sacrifice. Survival replaced ambition, and sweeping hangars became the only job willing to hire a grieving single father with no completed diploma. Despite the exhausting work, Rowan never stopped learning. Whenever the engineers left discarded blueprints in recycling bins, he carefully collected them. Broken aircraft components headed for scrap became treasures inside his tiny garage. Every evening after putting Nora to bed, he spent hours studying aerodynamic principles through borrowed library books and repairing old tools under the soft glow of a single workshop lamp. His neighbors often wondered why the lights in his garage stayed on until dawn. They assumed he repaired bicycles for extra money. None of them knew he was quietly building something impossible. Nora became the light that kept Rowan moving through every painful day. She loved drawing colorful airplanes soaring above mountains and oceans with bright sunshine painted behind them. She believed every airplane had a heart that carried families toward hope. One afternoon after school she asked her father the simplest question anyone had ever asked him. She wanted to know whether birds ever laughed at smaller birds before they learned to fly. Rowan smiled gently but felt tears forming inside. He told her that sometimes the world laughed first, but the sky always welcomed those brave enough to keep trying. That evening Nora handed him one of her drawings with a simple sentence written in crooked handwriting. She believed her dad could build an airplane one day because heroes did not always wear suits. Sometimes they carried brooms. Those words became Rowan's greatest source of strength. Every spare dollar purchased another bolt, another sheet of aluminum, another salvaged instrument. He refused expensive shortcuts. Instead, he carefully restored forgotten parts with patience that only a loving father could possess. Progress moved painfully slow. Weeks became months. Months became years. His hands developed scars from sharp metal edges, and countless nights ended with frustration when calculations failed. Yet every setback reminded him why he had started. He was not trying to impress executives or prove strangers wrong. He simply wanted his daughter to believe that dreams survived even when life became unbearably difficult. One afternoon, company executives organized a grand event showcasing luxury aircraft to wealthy investors. Rowan quietly swept the polished floor while listening to speeches celebrating innovation and vision. During the presentation, one of the engineers accidentally dropped a prototype design folder near Rowan's cleaning cart. He instinctively noticed a structural flaw hidden within one of the wing support calculations. Without thinking, he politely mentioned the issue. Silence filled the room before the CEO burst into laughter. The executives joined him. They dismissed the observation because it came from the hangar sweeper rather than a respected engineer. Rowan quietly returned to sweeping while the humiliation burned inside him. Even so, he never argued. Experience had taught him that pride rarely changed closed minds. That evening Rowan returned home emotionally exhausted. Nora noticed his sadness immediately. Instead of asking difficult questions, she simply hugged him tightly and whispered that tomorrow would be brighter because the sun never forgot to rise. Her innocent faith became the comfort he desperately needed. After she fell asleep, Rowan walked into the garage and looked at the nearly completed aircraft standing before him. It was small, elegant, and built with extraordinary care. Every rivet represented sacrifice. Every measurement reflected countless sleepless nights. He placed Nora's drawing against the instrument panel and continued working until dawn. Several weeks later, the aviation company announced a community innovation fair welcoming local inventors. Rowan hesitated before submitting an application. Deep inside he feared another public humiliation, but Nora convinced him that courage meant trying even when fear refused to leave. Together they carefully polished the little airplane until its silver wings reflected the bright morning sky. It was not the largest aircraft at the event, nor the most expensive, but it carried something none of the others possessed. It carried a father's promise. Crowds gathered with curiosity. Experienced pilots inspected the craftsmanship with growing amazement. Independent engineers examined the structure and praised its remarkable efficiency. Aviation journalists began asking questions about the unknown builder whose design solved several practical challenges using inexpensive recycled materials. Word spread quickly across the exhibition grounds until the same CEO who had once mocked Rowan slowly approached the display. For several long moments he simply stared at the aircraft without speaking. Then someone quietly informed him that the creator standing beside the plane was the very hangar sweeper everyone had laughed at. The CEO's confident smile disappeared. Reality settled heavily across his face as he realized that true talent had been hiding behind a broom all along. This time no laughter echoed through the hangar. Instead, respectful silence filled the air as people applauded the men they had overlooked for years. The greatest moment came when Rowan gently lifted Nora into the cockpit. Her sparkling eyes reflected pure joy as sunlight poured through the hangar doors. She wrapped her tiny arms around her father and proudly announced that she had always known he could build an airplane because love could build anything. Many people watching quietly wiped tears from their faces. Some remembered dreams they had abandoned. Others remembered loved ones who had believed in them when nobody else did. Soon afterward, Rowan received opportunities from respected aviation organizations eager to support his ideas. More important than awards, promotions, or recognition was the lesson his daughter carried forever. She learned that dignity could survive humiliation, perseverance could outlast rejection, and kindness remained stronger than cruelty. Rowan never forgot where he came from. Even after becoming a respected aircraft designer, he greeted every cleaner, mechanic, and apprentice with genuine respect because he understood that greatness often wore ordinary clothes. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, comment, share this video, and subscribe to Beyond Single Dad. Your support encourages more stories that remind us hope is never out of reach. Special request, comment below with, "Dreams don't need permission to fly." We'd love to read every single one of your messages. As the little airplane lifted gracefully into the bright afternoon sky for its successful demonstration flight, the crowd looked upward with wonder. But Rowan's eyes never followed the aircraft. They remained fixed on Nora's smiling face because, in the end, that smile had always been the destination. The world had once called him just a hangar sweeper, but a father's love proved that titles never define a person's worth. Character does. Persistence does. And sometimes, the strongest wings are built not from expensive materials, but from quiet determination, endless sacrifice, and the unbreakable promise of a single dad who refused to let his daughter's dreams stay on the ground.